This screencast is going to continue talking about the rise of dictators, beginning with Benito Mussolini in Italy. So, if you're familiar with Italy during World War II, then you know that Mussolini was able to gain total control of the government of Italy. The title that Mussolini will be kind of called and go by is Il Duce, as spelled on the screen, which translates directly to the leader or the chief. And he was initially kind of chosen to be as a prime minister, but he's going to transition power of the government in Italy to a totalitarian government. And, he's allowed to do this because Italy had been kind of struggling politically and economically, much like Germany was, and we'll kind of talk about what happens within Germany. But that's how people like Mussolini are able to gain control of a country like Italy, because it was not doing that great at the time. Italy is going to follow, with Mussolini's leadership, it is going to become a fascist government. Fascist would be spelled F-A-S-C-I-S-T. And fascism embraces strong nationalism and militarism, with complete government control of the economy. So it's kind of focused on intense and loyalty and devotion to that nation, the nation of Italy, but also a very strong military force. This would not be similar to communism. Communists actually focus on a global economy, whereas, fascists, being nationalists, focus on really just the economy of the one country for its benefit. Mussolini will be a liked leader for now in Italy, but not by all. He'll eventually be overthrown. We'll talk about that later. Okay, now we're gonna... Hold on, move that way. Here we go. We're gonna pick up with Germany. So, where we left off talking about the German government, Kaiser Wilhelm was forced down after World War I, and the government that is established in Germany after World War I is called the Weimar Republic. That is spelled on the screen for you. The Weimar Republic became pretty unpopular, as this is the German government that accepted the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which forced Germany to take sole responsibility for the war and required them to pay all of those war damages. So it was not a very popular treaty, and the Weimar Republic was not a very popular government, which is why someone like Adolf Hitler is going to easily be able to rise to power because of the weak state of the German government during this time. In the 1930s, he's able to win an election, meaning that people actually vote and elect him to be the position of Chancellor of Germany. As the German Chancellor, he was known by the title the Führer, as spelled on the screen, which literally means the leader. And where we go wrong with Hitler's control of the German government as the Chancellor is that he is going to convince the German Parliament, who was formerly known as the Reichstag, as spelled on the screen, to pass a law called the Enabling Act. And what the Enabling Act did was that it gave Hitler the power to act without any sort of legislative approval. Which sounds like a pretty bad idea. And it is a bad idea. Thank you. It is a bad idea. But you have to understand that the Reichstag was probably led to believe that this would help Hitler take direct action to provide relief to the German people at a faster rate. And so they're probably led to believe this is for the best for Germany, but we know what this really means is that Hitler is going to be able to basically be a dictator and take sole control of the German government without needing any sort of checks and balances or second approval. And the government underneath Hitler's control of Germany is going to be known as the Third Reich. So the Weimar Republic is no more, and the German government is now referred to as the Third Reich. The last country I want to briefly mention is actually not in Europe at all. It's in Asia, and this is Japan. Japan will be the primary aggressor in the second part of this war, the second half of where the war is being fought, same time but just different place. And Japan was kind of a monarchy during World War II, so the ruler was a monarch. The leader of Japan at the time was Emperor Hirohito, who is pictured on the bottom left of the slide. However, Japan was so heavily focused on militarism during World War II that many people really think that the military official and leader had the real power of the government, because the military was the focal point. And the leader and the general of the military of Japan at this time is Hideki Tojo. So most people accredit General Tojo with being kind of the puppet master of all of Japan's aggression during World War II. And we can actually accredit Tojo for being the reason that Pearl Harbor was bombed. Okay. Write down any questions you have. I'll review tomorrow, and then we'll move on. Have a good Wednesday.